Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over some of these new token launches. So just yesterday, or perhaps it was the day before, there was a whole bunch of new tokens that got released in just one day. Apparently, there's been a lot, and a lot of these haven't been getting updated or covered by anyone. So what I want to try and do is I'm going to try and continue this strand because these are all the mintable tokens. So I did a video on this maybe a month or two ago with the Fed token. So you had the one to one to one to one, and these seem to be very similar, but basically slightly different dynamics. So I've got some set up already. And we'll go over that process in this particular video and show you why you might want to take advantage of this. And I'm also going to, first of all, go over Maria's video from yesterday. So I think it was yesterday or the day before. So somebody took some screenshots of that. So I'm going to go through some of those screenshots. And then from there, we'll go from there into some of these new tokens. It's not going to be all of them because there is so many. And I've only just started to skim the surface. So we're just going to dip our toes in today. But this is pretty much a way for everyone to get involved in it. So how to mint those tokens, how to know what the parent functions are, how to know which tokens are the parents. And so we'll go through that right now. So with that, let's go to the share screen. So first, we're going to start with the video from yesterday. I'm pretty sure this is the video from yesterday or the day before. So Maria said he's surprised that there is no liquidity yet. So the discoverable new tokens are highly auditable by automated process. So the new tokens that have just been created, there's so many. So the federal minter tokens should have safety warnings, in my opinion. So the federal minter, so if you remember, we were going over some of these numbers. So I think, for example, if we get to wherever the Fed is, so yeah, okay, here we go. So all of these, so the 4354, I'm quite sure these are the federal minters. The reason why I say that is because wherever the Fed started, I'm pretty sure it was so we had these 430Bs, and now we have these, where are they? 4354. So this is the Federal Deposit Insurance Contract. So this is the first line so I've done a video on this. You can go back and look at this. I can't remember what the video title was, but it was like the thumbnail was one to one to one to one to one or something along these lines. And so the parent contract for this was the Fed. So you could burn the Fed to mint FDIC. And if there's an arbitrage opportunity there, you can sell it back into the token, sell it back into the Fed, and you can make profit on the arbitrage. And then there's a whole line of these tokens. So Maria here is basically saying, so those are the federal minters, I'm assuming. They should have safety warnings. So talking about OG Web Chef asset productions reading compatible with dysnomia. It's restricted to new dev. The less bots automate the early tokens, the more users will be able to profit on launch. The less bots automate the early tokens, the more users will be able to profit on launch. If you mint into these early, the number go up is very good. So basically, it sounds like Maria's trying to encourage us to start minting all of these tokens. To the best of my knowledge, all of these tokens are mintable. I haven't gone through all of them. I would encourage everyone to just start this process. So today we're just going to start this process, but it seems like all of these are mintable. And so what you mint, he's saying that he's surprised that there's no liquidity yet, and there isn't in a lot of these. So yeah, maybe that's an opportunity for people to provide liquidity. It's an opportunity for people to mint the tokens and to hold them for later profits. And then continuing here, so we can also discuss dysnomia. So please, nothing about price. Price is only technology. Somebody will probably provide initial liquidity soon. Don't see any Pt I peg. People are obsessed with the Pt I peg. Why not? Our right to discuss the previous video is primarily in order. I certainly don't. I'm not looking. Maybe I will make a spider sense coin. The coolest feature of the new Dysnomia UI will utilize the parent function on all of the newly minted tokens. So there is no Anclagar Squadron. What kind of benefit does Atropa give to Pulse Chain? So the new Dysnomia UI will primarily offer parent-based discovery. So the new Dysnomia UI, so at the moment, I guess the extent of the Dysnomia UI is the chat, the dysnomia.icu. This token is 4 levels under Treasury Bill. The new Dysnomia UI will primarily offer parent-based discovery. This token is 4 levels under Treasury Bill. So I suppose when he's talking about levels, you have Treasury Bill, then you might have like the Fed, and then you might have FDIC, and then you had whatever the next one was. I think it's DFM, Dysnomia, something fund, Dysnomia something fund, Dysnomia Mono Fund, DMF, or whatever it is. So maybe that's level 4, and whatever he's talking about here with this TokoZiv something, TokoZiv. That's not in the Atropa new launches. So I don't know how to write that. I don't know where to get the contract for that from. I think, yeah, basically, I think this, not Helios runs this. And so I think there's been some sort of, I don't get involved with this shit, but there's some sort of community split or, yeah, I'm not sure. I hope things work out because I think everybody likes Not Helios, but apparently Not Helios. I'm not even going to bother going into the drama, but Not Helios had this off. Now it's on. And now he's put an advertisement here for OG Web Chef. So people are kind of triggered by that. But anyway, so as you can see, there's lots in here, right? So I'm surprised there's no liquidity yet. Okay, so this is not necessarily in order, unfortunately. So I just pulled up these from the affection chat. It's that's the same thing. You can mint your here we go. So if you mint, the less bots automate the early tokens, the more users will be able to profit on launch. So in other words, I mean, all of these, it says, for example, like this says, oh, okay, this got launched yesterday, but it actually didn't get launched yesterday. It's only, oh, sorry, Friday, so 2 days ago. It actually didn't get launched 2 days ago. It's actually that this bot, which is reading whatever Maria is launching, is old. So these are actually like maybe a week or 2 years old. So it's restricted to new devs. So the less bots automate the early tokens, the more users will be able to profit on launch. So in other words, Maria sounds like is encouraging us to get in there now before bots start to do all the work. If you mint into these early, the number go up is very good. I think you can even create new tokens under your wallet address if you don't want to parent them to old tokens. I think you can even create new tokens under your wallet address if you don't want to parent them to old tokens. Okay, that's interesting. If you provide your wallet as parent, I just tested in Sim and it worked. What? You can even create new tokens under your wallet address if you don't want to parent them to old tokens. Wow. So just like those tokens with wherever it goes up to. So yeah, FDIC, there's so many here. So FDIC, where it was the parent was the Fed. So yeah, it sounds like you can create your wallet as the parent. So you can mint from your wallet. You can mint your own tokens by spending WM 1-to-1 for initial balance, then mintable at varying rates with the parent, which can be your wallet or a non-minting contract or anything with an address. So it sounds like you can really mint anything with these. So these are the contracts of the token factory. Piece of this asset increases ×1 every mint of 0.25. Price of this asset increases by 1 every mint of 0.25. Price to mint. Price on PulseX will vary. For mint only, supports one-way number go up. Hey Maria, has market conditions adjusted the time frame for the Atropa? Market conditions are possibly my fault from the intentional Fed crash. Re-entry looks good to me. I will probably claim my intentional crash next phase too, till they are impossible from my end. Interesting. So maybe Maria's saying the Fed is back on. I don't know. So we need full cooperation from everyone capable of exploiting it. The next target is a big one, but it's not close enough to make it visible yet. It involves number larger than UINT 256. We lost Defense Secretary Hegze. Yeah. Now the Defense Secretary is Harry Houdini, and Johnny Knoxville runs the Treasury. And Billy Ray Cyrus is Vice President. Don't break my heart. My achy breaky heart. What a song. What a classic. Are there multiple solutions for the Fed that are being considered, or only one gate that opens? So the parent of this token is BOA Priority Coin. The Fed is wholly controlled by exploitability. It's too much to control via contract. If we can get the exploitability into an active pattern of versus action and the winners are successful at sharing number go up, then it could be good. I do not see a way forward, but I'm not writing bots. We will see how well the flag was captured if when Dysnomia UI relaunch occurs, placing the index minted tokens on large total supply parents in nested series accomplishes, I think, better than the Atropa ecosystem launches. UI is priority. Like I said, it's honestly better to leave it wide open for early UI users to turn profit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a sense to me that a lot of this stuff could be very profitable. So I think it's very, very good to try and start learning about this, particularly while everything in the Atropa ecosystem is down. But it makes me wonder about how they can be profitable. Yeah, especially, I mean, I guess it depends on a lot of factors. So, but we'll go into that in just a moment. So the contracts are already in place. As the new tokens are bought in on PulseX, users and bots can make profit and bring the price back down to current mint level. So as the new tokens are bought in on PulseX, users and bots can make profit and bring the price back down to current mint level. So this is important. This is how the profits are going to be made on the mintable token. So obviously at the minute with Treasury to Fed, you're not going to mint it. It's one-to-one. You're better off selling your Treasury into the Fed. And by doing that, if enough people do it, it's going to eventually bring the price up to one-to-one. So that's kind of what he's saying here. So if people just buy, like Fed, for example, then it's going to bring it one-to-one. And that's how people make their profit. I don't know what's going to drive the users to necessarily want to buy those tokens. Yeah, that part I'm not too sure about. It will be a different outfit next time. We should do Omaha after New Dysnomia UI start. No, you should do Australia because of the way that we shall have. New Dysnomia UI should be everything Berkshire Hathaway does plus chat. Wow, interesting. Okay. Is everything a hedge fund does, or what are they? Berkshire Hathaway, they're not but they're just an investment fund, right? Or a business that invests. They're not a hedge fund. Are they a hedge fund? Is that what they call it? Or yeah, my brains. Shit. Here, okay, this goes into the drama. I'm not interested. So, okay, all right. So just a little bit of information there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up all of those charts. I'm just going to put this on. So now let's go to how we actually go about minting these things. So I've added all these to this particular website. So this is scgui.aff.icu. This should be in the description. And so what I've done is I've just taken a few of these here and I've already preloaded everything. So now this is kicking off after. So we had all these tokens which were, I think, connected to bar. Then we had motion to dismiss. We got dismissed. We got dismissed. And then now this one. So proof of own reserves contract. So this is now with 5DDC. So this is this is different now from the 4354. So this is 5DDC. So what I've done is I've taken a couple of these 5DDCs. So I've done 5DDC, I've done, and the first one there, and maybe even, I think, possibly the next one, RF. Oh, there was, maybe I went down. I did it. I can't remember how I did this. Where was RFC? There we go, RFC. So the RFC was the first 4354. Okay, so let's just go with these. So these, what was it? 5DDC, was it? Yep, 5DDC. So now this 5DDC, so okay, how do I actually add it on here? So I have showed this process before, but I'll show it once again. So you go plus, I'll take that contract address. So this is what's really good about this, because I don't even need to copy and paste or anything like that. Well, you do, but you just need to click. So I click, I paste the address here. I've got this app.ddorb.com, and I've got this saved like this, so it just automatically is on pulse chain. I copy and paste that there. While that is loading, I'll go back here. I will get the token symbol. I'll put the token symbol first, and then, see, look, I'm just clicking. It's pretty good. And then here, proof of own address. Now we just need the ABI, so we're getting the ABI from here. Click ABI. Press this. You might not be able to see because of my head, but in the top right, there's like a copy under ABI. And now we're going to copy and paste the ABI, save. All right. So yeah, same thing. So that's how you add them. So like I said, there's so many here to explore. It's like this whole new playground now. So it's quite interesting, actually. It's quite fun. So I've only just started doing just a few, just adding them on here and just seeing what are the different kinds of relationships. So we saw, so for example, we had with, it's like, how am I going to depict this? How will I depict this? Let's go. Yeah, so we had Treasury Bill, Fed, FDIC, DFM, Parade, and so on and so forth, whatever they were. That's one kind of relationship. So it's kind of like this string that's 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Now, this particular one here was slightly different. So I want to figure out what's the parent of this. So then I'll click this box here, and in the functions, I'm going to read the parent. So call parent 83E9. So what is that? I don't know what that is. So I come back here, I do a search. So I've already done this, but I do a search. And then which one is it? It's FDIC. So that's why then what I will end up doing is I'll also, which is what I've done, I've preloaded FDIC in here. So I've loaded in FDIC, because now what I need to do is I need to approve this contract. So basically, okay, let's make this clear. So then I think if this is Treasury, Fed, and then this is FDIC, then what ends up happening here, it's like a new branch, some kind of a new branch that comes off. And then we have this one, S. So now that becomes, isn't that strange? This looks so much bigger than that, but they're exactly the same. It's like an optical illusion. But for some reason, this looks bigger. So yes, we have FDIC with this, it's like S&P 500 or something, Standard and Poor. So now what am I going to do? If I want to mint the Standard and Poor, proof of own contracts reserve, see, SOT. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to copy the address, FDIC, and then I'm going to approve that contract. So I want to approve it. And remember, UINT 256, you got to multiply everything by 18. So for example, I have this much. So I'm going to approve this much. So this is quite good. How many decimal places are here? Well, we'll see in just a moment. So you got to get rid of the commas, the full stops. Oh, great. Okay, cool. So I can call the mint because I actually do have that many. Now, as soon as actually, this is the approval. So this is just the approval. So I don't know, I can just do whatever. I can just do like a million here. All right. So I can just do a million. Oh, well, yeah, you can only go up to a certain number perhaps. So, all right, that's the max number there. So I'm going to approve that. So now this is approving my wallet to be able to mint proof of reserves contract from FDIC. So I'm going to wait for this. So it's pending at the moment. And now this is where I'll be able to take this number once this is approved. And then I'll be able to, actually we'll show you the process. So here, mint, I'll put that on favorites. So every time I just click here, it will go to mint. Now, all right, you can see I'm not actually able to mint at the moment. It's giving me that error. What happens if I just put 1? See, it's allowing me to mint. And I'll just show you, you're going to be able to see this because of my head. Damn, you might not be able to see this because of my head. I will just pause this. Stop the share. Okay, so you should be able to see here, because I've just put like 1. So this is like 0.000000000000001. So what we're going to do is we're going to reject this. And then now we put that number in here, right? It's not letting us. We don't have enough. And I'll tell you why. So you can keep going back. Here we go. Great. Okay. So obviously there was too many zeros, too many figures, too many numbers. And so it's going to mint 30,000 of those tokens by using up 9.27 million. Okay, so you can see that it's going to use 9.27 million of those tokens to give 30 million of those tokens. So in other words, we have, it's going to give 30,000 of those tokens rather. So 30,000. So therefore, we'll take this number, divide it by 30,000. So it's 309, 1 to 309. So 1 proof of own reserves contract to 309 FDIC. So now to see if I'm actually getting an arbitrage deal here, if this below number is bigger, then it's worth it. It's less. It's less than. So in other words, I'm actually better off just doing a straight swap, because if I do 309, oops, I should be able to get about 2. Yeah, there you go. So I'm getting about 2. So does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So it's about a 309 to 1. Well, it is a 309 to 1. And so at the minute, it's a lot cheaper to just buy the SOD, the SOT, D, and 4. Man, naming everything is so hard to like call these things on stream. What is that? So FDIC. Let's just call that let's just call this S&P. We're going to call this S&P because that's what it looks like to me. So Standard & Poor, S&P 500. So yeah, at the moment, just like with Treasury, to Fed, you're better off just swapping Treasury to Fed. You're not better off burning. I couldn't bring up the chart for it. I wanted to, but there is no chart for it. But you can see this has about 520 of liquidity, so it doesn't have a lot of liquidity. So you can also see here, this is what you're getting. So it's at the moment it's 155 now, which is that will be this number here. So if we go 1 here, this should be 155. Yep, there we go. So in other words, when that number here, the price quote is higher than the 309, that's where the arbitrage opportunity is. So if this was 500, you've got arbitrage. You would then burn these FDIC to get this S&P, and then you would sell the S&P back into the FDIC, and then you could sell the excess tokens, the profit. Or you could provide liquidity, one or the other. So what makes all of these interesting? If we know anything about liquidity webs, what makes all of these interesting is, yes, there's going to be buyers, but how people set up the liquidity webs is going to really determine a lot how this works. So for example, FDIC at the moment, I don't know how it's doing actually, to be perfectly honest with you, whether it's doing well or not. But let's just say it doesn't really do a lot. Let's just create a hypothetical scenario here. It doesn't really do a lot. But if I bonded S&P with, say, I don't know, Pt I, and I made it Pt I and S&P the biggest liquidity pool, then as Pt I is getting pulled up, it's also pulling up S&P. And then as S&P is getting pulled up, it's going to increase this rate. So that's how you can actually, well, that's one possible way that you can manipulate the liquidity pools to maximize the opportunities for minting. I was thinking about this, like, how can you actually do this? So that's one way. I don't know of any other ways. I haven't really given it too much thought beyond that. But obviously, yeah, this is like another branch that's coming out of it and another way of looking at it. Now, let's go to the next one. So MOF, what's the Monet Index Fund? So MIF. What's MIF? MIF, you can see here 4D8A. So MIF now is branching off S&P. So in other words, maybe we should, can we do this? Is this possible? Can I change the colors like this? Damn, I can only do for the, yeah, actually, why not? Now we have the S&P with MIF. And now let's make this another color. This is like another branch. So okay. So then you could do the same thing. Now the problem, one of the issues with this is I can't actually see what that. So I tried doing this earlier. So okay, how do I know whether it's going to be profitable to go through this route? I can't actually. Yeah, unless there was some other button, I couldn't. Oh, multiplier. No balance. Okay, let's just do this. We're just gonna have to do it this way. So let's just buy one standard and poor S&P. Let's buy one S&P. So we're gonna buy the S&P. Of course, you could just mint it, because now I want to see, like, if you can make profit with arbitrage in multiple ways along the way, then that's a good win. That's a really interesting win. So where you could arbitrage this, and then you've got another arbitrage opportunity here with MIF and S&P. And so you've got double arbitrage opportunities. That's where it can potentially get quite interesting. So all right, so now this has gone through. So we have, did we get our one? Yep, we've got our one. Now what's going to happen here if we go to multiplier? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe, is that actually how to do it? No balance change. Damn. Well, because I have one. No balance change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Damn it. 18. No. Okay. So cancel the transaction. Maybe because I haven't approved, that might be it. So then, okay, what do I need to do then if I want to mint this? So then I would go through the same process as I did with FDIC. So I'd copy the contract address. I need to approve my ability to mint it. So that's the address. And then make this as big as it can go. Oh, actually, no, it would make more sense. That's our max there. This might be all over the place as I'm trying to explain this, and there's not much I can do about that. Sorry, it's not a fluid and easy process to even wrap your head around, let alone try and explain. So it's going to be something that hopefully I'll get better at over time. So please, no comments about it being all over the place. I get those comments and I'm just like, bro, I've literally tried to break down like this complex thing. People are criticizing, people are never happy. So, okay, so now what's going to happen if we do the multiplier on that? So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 18. Is it approved now? I wonder if that's going to make a difference. No, no difference. Okay. So the only way that I can do this now is I'll actually try to mint. I'll see it's like going to let me. Oh. Let me just try this again 1 second. Nope. Okay. So we'll try mint. Call mint. So it's a 7 to 1. So for every 7 to 1 of those. So now I'm going to just see what that ratio is now. So yeah. All right. Actually, it's probably 7.2. So there's a 0.27 profit there. Now, obviously, what you have to look at when it comes to these is, yeah, I mean, well, you can see it here, right? So that should be 7. So, well, this is probably the quickest kind of ways to compare these. But the problem is, there's not much liquidity in there. So, yeah, I think with bots just continuously running through these, getting an early liquidity provider position would be really worthwhile. I think it would be really, really worthwhile. So that's what I think. I'm looking at this more as a liquidity providing opportunity, as like, okay, well, how can I quickly maximize my potential to arbitrage and get in early on these liquidity pools before everything in the Atropa ecosystem starts to take off again? That's where it's going to be really interesting. So now on to the next one. So what was this one? So the parent for this one was 34. I don't know what this one was. I can't remember what this one was. Let's have a look. Cheat on the bar exam. So it's just another one of these basically. But now it's with the, whatever it was the 4354 was the first one. And then I just went down a little bit more. This was a whole new relationship. So actually, just FYI, yeah, I'm going to assume you would have to do this to figure it out. So I'm not going to go through this whole process, like I said, but I'm going to assume that these, I'm just assuming now that MIF, and then this MIF is the parent of BIF, and then BIF is the parent of Amnesty. Amnesty is the parent of Tigard, so on and so forth. And then I got to, where was the fourth? Oh, was that the first? Yeah, it was. There we go. First 4354, but he went back to 5DDC. Oh, so this is all 5DDC. I thought I was doing 4354. Okay, so this is all 5DDC. Okay. Anyway, so that was the first one. But then I did this one. Okay, so yeah, so in other words, now this would become like another 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. So that was the BIF and the MIF and the what I was just showing there. And the Amnesty Intergalactic, that will be 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. All right. So there's that. That's one type of kind of branched relationship. Now, these were interesting. This was very interesting for me. So I've set all these up, and basically these are, so I've set these up. What we see here is, if you go to the parent to one of these, I couldn't find this here. I was like, okay, what the hell is going on here? I can't find it. It's not in here. So I went to the Block Explorer, looked in it there, and it's actually an Atropa ecosystem token. So this is where I was like, wow, this is going to start to get interesting. So now this is the spreadsheet. So this was token number 18. This is, yeah, whatever that is. This is where it's going to start to get interesting. So then I had a look at all of these, and all of these were, the parent was, that's this one here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they're all the parent to this one here. So in other words, that is a different scenario. So let's just draw it a little bit differently here. Actually, yeah, whatever. Same kind of thing. So now we'll use a different color altogether. Let's use that one. So we have 1. So that's the Atropa ecosystem token. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then all of these were branching off this. Okay, that's quite interesting. That's a little bit different. That's different to what we've seen so far. Okay. Like so. And then this one here, the United States Bank. United States Bank started branching off on the last one. So now this is a new kind of a relationship here. And so now this was one-to-one with that. So we had all of these being one-to-one with this token, which is quite interesting. Quite interesting. Because it really made me think, how's this going to work? And so at the moment, everything in the Atropa ecosystem is bottomed. So as everything is kind of like bottomed, what happens when we start taking off? And now this is going to start taking off with the Atropa ecosystem. How's it going to impact all of these tokens? I'm very, very interested by that. Are they going to get dragged up in price? Are they going to get weighed down? It really depends on however the liquidity pools have been set up as well. And so the liquidity setup on these is also not very big. So we have, so this is the parent. This is the parent to all of them. So let's bring the parent up. So I'll get rid of this now. So that's 520 liquidity. So there's that. And then let's just, I'm just going to do a couple. I'll do 3. So I'll do the first one, the 399. And then I'll also do FBC goes into, so yeah, these all go into that one. And then this one, I'm pretty sure goes into the 334. Yep. So then we'll also get the 334. Let's see what the liquidity setup for that is. Just make sure. Okay, so this one's got 728 liquidity. And then we'll get the, finally, the USB, United States Bank. Is this one loaded up? So this is almost 500,000 liquidity. This particular token, it's got a fair bit of liquidity going on here. So so what was this one? Yeah, 728. Then we had this one, 827. So around about the same. And then we had, so this is USC Bank. So this gets hard, I have to say. So now this is, because it's all in Thai. So then that's its biggest pool. So its biggest pool. So you can see here, there isn't much of an arbitrage opportunity there. But there is an arbitrage opportunity between this one, which is this one. Actually, let's also bring that up just out of curiosity. So so now this doesn't mint or burn against these. They're just in liquidity pools with it. But you can see here, oh, there's a nice little gap here. So what does that mean? So now if we go to this one, is there a gap between tiny, but not much? So in other words, hey, this is an arbitrage opportunity here between these tokens. So in other words, you might mint this, swap it into this, and then in that process, eventually when this comes back up against this, then you can swap it back into this. You probably also could even potentially do that now if there was large enough amounts. So yeah, not huge amounts of liquidity. So I'm looking at this going, okay, what would be a good play with all of this? I'm thinking, all right, well, if Maria's talking about bots taking profits, and we know that the bots do a lot of swapping, and being a liquidity provider gets me volume. And so if this is going to generate volume in a bull market, then I want to be an early liquidity provider in these. That's how I'm looking at all of this. And then of course we have USB, which comes off that. So USB, so USB has 3,500 liquidity. So USB was with goodness me. So that's this one here. Okay, so that's this one here. So that's the second biggest liquidity pool. Its biggest is with Poppy. So there you go. Oh, so that's interesting. So its biggest is with Poppy. So then, for example, if Poppy is doing better than this token, if Poppy ends up doing better than this token, because this token is the root. This is the root. So that's this token here, which leads to this one. So now we're looking at, oops. So now we're here. So we've gone from the root where it all stems from. Now we're looking at this token's relationship to USB. But now we're here. Now we're looking at this. And now this is that token with USB. But USB is bonded with Poppy. So let's just say this ends up, let's say now this token here is this price chart here, but then Poppy, for whatever reason, does a more stronger move for whatever reason. Then all of a sudden, this token here is going to provide an opportunity of arbitrage against this token. And so therefore, how's it going to work? So then this token is going to be up. So then you're going to want to burn this to mint this, and then you're going to want to sell this into this to get your profit. And as that is happening, as you're selling USB into this token, it's going to make the ratio of this favor this side. I know that this is going to be so complicated. Even as I'm explaining, it's like, oh man, this is so confusing. But it's okay. It's something that I think is going to take a lot of time to get used to. So yeah, as I mint this, I then swap this back into this. And as I'm doing that, it's pumping that token, which is becoming another arbitrage opportunity here where I could then burn these to mint these and then arbitrage again. So you're getting arbitrage, arbitrage, arbitrage. And then you've got all these, they're all interconnected, possibly with arbitrage pools. So yeah, it just presents all these different interesting opportunities. And so there's heaps there. So this is literally just like, so I've just gone through here and I haven't gone, I mean, look at all these. There's dozens, possibly 100 here, possibly 100. So there's a whole new playground. So all these all got launched like a couple of days ago. There was like 30 in a day. So yeah, have a look at this. Have a look at what you guys think. There's probably amongst that, there's going to be, so this is the first time that I've, well, actually, I mean, FDIC is like an Atropa ecosystem token, but it doesn't feel like it. I mean, FDI, all that stuff is coming off of Treasury. And so Treasury was like this, had this unique sort of position in everything. But now we have this concept of, well, at least this token being connected to one of the tokens in the Atropa ecosystem. So what does that mean as it's going up? How are they going to leverage each other? How are they going to ratchet up against each other? What kind of arbitrage is going to be presented for the market? So it's making things very, very interesting for me. So I want to start to look at this in a lot more detail. I think it's very, very worth looking at this in a lot more detail. And I think, this concept of with USB, with Poppy going up more than the original parent TIE token, that concept has kind of emerged from going over the Atropa tokens and seeing the relationships about how things are interrelated and how things move faster than others, and it's deliberately designed like that. So having that kind of understanding, this could make things interesting. So you could take any one of those and become like a custodian of it. And then I was also thinking, what's this going to look like when you have like a allow token, and you have a allow token that's constantly buying into, for example, let's just say USB. Oh man, it's kind of screwed up all the. Let's just say with USB, what happens if you have a allow token that's constantly buying up this? So you have your liquidity web with your, you've got your allow token liquidity web. I'll do this maybe in a different color. Actually, no, probably more like, I'll do it in a, so let's say you've got all these now. This is your allow token liquidity web. And then you've got your allow token. And then basically you're leveraging all the liquidity that the allow token is against, but then you're swapping that. You're selling down your allow token at a sustainable rate into this. So then this is causing the price to go up against this, which is then going to create an arbitrage opportunity. And then so this then is going to again create an arbitrage opportunity. And then what happens if this becomes like a big feature of your, like a big portion of this, of your allow supply, for example, and then you pump, you end up getting back this token, and then you pump your allow back up with this. So basically there's all these loops that are occurring within the ecosystem, which is keeping liquidity continuously flowing throughout the system. Very interesting. That's another idea that came to me as well. So I'm going to have to relook at the allow tokens again, but yeah, bit of a long one, bit all over the place, but as I hope you can appreciate, this is not an easy thing to explain. It's not an easy thing to even look at. It's not an easy thing to even set up. Once you start setting it up, because I'm familiar with the Fed, FDIC process, it's like, it's not that big of a deal for me. But for some people, for a newbie, it's like, oh, this is a bit hard, but I've shown you how to do it. And then just start playing with it. Just mess around and find out. Same as what we did with the allow token. So I can't guarantee anything. I'm not going to say this is going to do well against this, but I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, all right, I can see some potential here as a liquidity provider. I can see some potential as more liquidity flows into this area of the Atropa ecosystem and the Treasury, how this can actually play out in the long term. So I would encourage people to just start playing around with it, see what you think. And yeah, in the comments, what do you guys think? What are some ideas that you guys can see, you guys and girls can see with this, where this can actually go in the future? So with that, I'll leave it with that. So this is all how to interact with all those new token contract addresses, and enjoy. Have fun.